And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to the 500,000 number. Look, I say it all the time. Please hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share because we need to grow this community to ensure that all this crazy stuff comes to an end. Now, look, over the weekend, we saw Trump instruct Pam Bondi via Truth Social to bring charges against, get a load, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, James Comey. In fact, there was even more, Jack Smith, many people. Well, it now looks like the DOJ is gearing up to indict James Comey. And on Friday, the former Virginia DA said no and left after pressure from Trump and his new appointee, Lindsay Halligan, who is now drafting the indictment that targets James Comey. Now, I want to be clear about something. You all know how I feel about the Russia hoax. You all know how I feel about James Comey. No love lost. And if there's something that Comey actually did wrong, well, I believe that justice should be brought. I believe he should be held accountable, just like anyone else. But we cannot and we should not ignore the blatant weaponization of the Department of Justice by Trump. In fact, as you see over my shoulder, I wrote an entire book about it. Revenge. How Donald Trump weaponized the United States Department of Justice against his critic. That was Donald Trump 1.0. Let me be also very clear about it. I want to remind you what Trump had posted over the weekend. Let me show you what he said. In it, he writes, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that, essentially, same old story as last time, all talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past. A woke rhino who is never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Democratic senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that he had no case. No, I fired him, and there is a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. Now, let me go on and say the following. As far as I'm concerned, and as I write in my book, I think James Comey has dirty hands. I absolutely do. I can't begin to turn around and to, give you the synopsis, the cliff notes of the book Revenge. But what I will turn around and tell you is that he is the one who took the files from John McCain, knowing that the 11 allegations raised against me by the Steele dossier, that garbage document, was not true. They even went so far as to speak to the baseball coach in Los Angeles at the University of Southern California where my son was trying out for the baseball team. Did it matter to Comey? No, because he didn't care about anything except building his own legacy. Meanwhile, Representative Greg Stout, member of the Weaponization of Government Subcommittee, he said that Comey should be charged with treason. Play the clip.
Can you tell us about this as a member of the Weaponization of the Federal Government Select Subcommittee?
Well, it's about time. Americans have waited for this for a long time. We saw the Russia collusion hoax, the complete compromise of the deep state. That was all under Comey's leadership. I believe because of all of those things that we now know, they used the intelligence apparatus of our federal government to perpetrate a fraud upon the American people, that the Trump campaign was colluding and conspiring with Russia. In my opinion, he should be charged with treason. But obviously the DOJ doesn't want to go that far. They found something that they can charge him with. He obviously lied to Congress because he knew either he's lying or McCabe is lying. And obviously they have evidence from either communications or something that it's a basis of this grand jury indictment. It is a long time coming where the American people want to see justice of all of the brokenness of our federal government over the last decade.
By the way, Nobody more than yours truly. You know, I turn around and I write in my Substack of today, justice collapses under Trump's shadow. I begin it by saying another one of my predictions just hit the bullseye. James Comey, the man I've long said would find himself in the crosshairs, is now staring down the barrel of a potential indictment. And let me be clear, I can't stand Comey. Never could. I mean, this is a guy who paraded around as if he were the moral compass of Washington while playing political games that wrecked lives, mine included. He strutted around like an overgrown Boy Scout with a badge, but he wielded his power like a politician looking to polish his legacy. But here we are today, watching the clock tick on the case that I told you was coming. Now, Stephen Miller went on Fox to speak about this indictment. Play that clip.
Stephen, I want to move on to this news that the DOJ is considering indicting former FBI Director James Comey for allegedly lying to Congress. Your reaction tonight?
Well, I don't have any news to make on that subject or question, but I'm always happy to talk about disgraced former FBI Director James Comey, who of course is corrupt, who of course has been engaged in vast amounts of illicit and unlawful conduct, who of course was at the center of the Russiagate attack and assault on American democracy. There are so many people, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Monaco, all across the government under previous administrations who have worked tirelessly to try to dismantle our democracy. And it has to lead somewhere to accountability.
Got to be accountability. And in 27.
Yeah. By the way, you know, I can't believe it. I'm going to actually agree with Stephen Miller. There has to be accountability. In fact, I know for a fact I can't get my hands on him. My FOIA request still has not been answered in 5 years. 5 years, I'm asking. Inside that 486,000 documents in regarding to the Russia hoax regarding me. You could just imagine the treasure trove of information that exists in there. Now, meanwhile, K.C. Hunt, she spoke to Peter Navarro, and she asked him straight, just point blank, if what is happening to Comey is the same thing that happened to him. What about me? Play the clip.
Great to be with you. And it is kind of funny. I mean, I did go to prison. I did go to prison for honoring the Constitution. And I'm the only one. And meanwhile, there's a lot of people out there who should be in prison, in my judgment, and I think in the judgment of many people in the Trump administration. James Comey's at the top of that list. Now, I don't have any inside knowledge.
Is what's going on with James Comey, how is it not basically the same thing that you're saying happened to you?
Because he broke the law and I didn't. Simple as that. Let me lay this out for you. The big picture, and again, I don't know what he would be charged with. There's so many things.
Our reporting is perjury.
There's so many things.
Yeah, there are so many things. Meanwhile, Maggie Haberman, who I've known forever, who is actually a frequent visitor in my home, because again, I've known her forever. We're friends. She spoke about the drafted indictment herself. Play the clip.
There was resistance, I believe, and that's in some of the reporting that we're seeing now about going through with this because prosecutors just didn't believe that there was going to be enough to make a case on, or so we have been told. Now, to go ahead in spite of that is a risk because it's not really clear that you're not guaranteed an indictment just because you go before a grand jury. And so we will see what this looks like if, in fact, they go ahead. Now, you know, as CNN's reporting shows, they are debating what to do. But again, Lindsey Halligan is President Trump's handpicked person. He wanted her there. He did not want Eric Siebert in that role anymore. He was not just Trump's pick. He was his person. It was his office who went ahead and backed him. And yes, Democratic senators were fine with him, but that got used against him by some of his Siebert's opponents and critics within the administration. So.
Yeah, listen, the one thing that they're all missing, let the document speak. And by the way, I'm not going to agree with Maggie on that. There's no doubt in my mind that the indictment, if brought before a grand jury, will be had. Senator Chris Murphy went on Morning Joe, and spoke about how regardless of what the grand jury decides, Trump has succeeded in his goal to harass his enemies. Play the clip.
I guess the question is, will this new U.S. attorney dare bring a case that has no future?
Well, I think we have to understand what the underlying point is here. Yes, Donald Trump probably wants his enemies in jail, but what he also wants is to harass his enemies to the point where a lot of people decide to just stand down.
So even if it's tossed out by a grand jury or a judge throws it out, mission accomplished. Just like the New York Times case got thrown out, he's harassed.
Yeah, it's massively expensive to go through this if you're James Comey or Letitia James, and he sees what's happening in the corporate community already. Folks just deciding to sit on the sidelines. A similar thing is happening with Democratic donors. A lot of folks who used to play in politics have decided to just step back because they don't want to be in Trump's crosshairs. So the point here, sure, is to get a few of his political adversaries in jail, but the real point is a tried and true tactic of despots all over the country, all over the world, which is to just harass and intimidate their political opposition so that people decide to stay indoors, protesters don't show up, candidates don't run. That's how democracies die.
Yeah, let's talk.
Again, as I wrote in my Substack of this morning, justice collapses under Trump's shadow. I wrote, but here's the truth. Trump doesn't need airtight evidence. He doesn't even need a strong case. He just needs headlines. He just needs the image of Comey hauled into court, humiliated, and reduced to a defendant. That's the win. Whether it sticks in the end, it's almost irrelevant to Trump, although I predict that it will. And finally, I want to emphasize Trump's weaponization of the DOJ. I want to show you a clip from Abby Phillips' show last night where they discussed Joe Biden leading and allowing an investigation into his son, into Hunter Biden, all right, which all happened under his presidency. And despite the eventual pardon that he gave, Trump would never, ever let Pam Bondi, his attorney general, investigate Trump Jr., Ivanka, Jared, Barron, Eric. Would make no difference. He'd never allow it. Play the clip.
Sitting here, Hunter Biden was being investigated during Biden's term. Do you think Don Jr. would ever be investigated by Pam Bondi?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Wait, hold on. If he did a crime, I think, yeah.
No, he would not.
By the way,
Donald Trump Jr.
The Biden crime family.
You know that's not true.
Donald Trump Jr.
Wait, let's be clear.
Yes.
Let's be clear about Hunter Biden and what Hunter Biden did. If Don Jr. was sitting on the board of Burisma right now and was taking massive amounts of money, I have no doubt. Again, I actually think that
Hold on one second. There's just too many people talking at one time. Make your comments so that we can actually hear it.
Yeah, if you had Don Jr. painting paintings and selling them for six figures, but by the way, nobody else right now. I absolutely believe there would be an investigation because honestly, I don't think that my side is okay to do things like that.
Tom Homan was found taking $50,000 bribes. Where's the investigation? Will you call for an investigation on Tom Homan?
So now he's just immediately convicted by you.
That's a little different. No, I'm saying
that. Thank you. I think you're being intellectually honest on that. That is the biggest BS line of the night.
But I don't think there's any.
Yeah, let me be clear about something as I end off my Substack. Comey will be indicted. It's that. The nation's highest. The real tragedy here, it's not that Comey is going to be indicted. It's that the nation's highest law enforcement agency has been repurposed into a revenge machine. Retribution isn't on the horizon. It's already here. Get used to it. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.